What's up, baby? How you doing?
Mickey Phleger.
Yeah, good to meet you.
Yeah,
Tony?
Good to meet you.
I actually never had a chance to meet last time. So.
Well, we did meet once, but last time I was unconscious.
Yeah.
Gonzalez out to the left side, Drayton to the right. Gerbach rolling to the right.
It was a basic over route, and I beat my guy.
Throws on the run, has a receiver. It is caught inside the 20 by Gonzalez, who runs over a cameraman and really hammers him. Gonzalez, 6'4", 250, ran right over a cameraman.
That cameraman is out.
I'm like standing over and I'm looking down at him and I'm trying to help him up. I could tell right away, you know, this wasn't normal because the way he was looking, I mean, it was just eerie. And I was like, oh my God, I mean, I thought I killed the guy.
Actually, what Tony Gonzalez probably did was save Mickey Phleger's life. Like most boys who grow up in Green Bay, Wisconsin, Mickey Phleger developed an early interest in football. And he showed an even greater passion for photography.
This is a picture of me with my first camera. I've always had an interest in photography. I've always taken pictures since I was been a little kid.
He took this picture from his seat in Lambeau Field. And in 1970, as an intern for a small paper in Oshkosh, he framed this image of Ray Nitschke. His hobby eventually became his profession. He moved to Northern California, and for over 20 years, he's recorded football history on film.
He's got an incredible eye. He's just got that way of capturing that split second of, making incredible pictures.
Mickey was capturing split seconds in November of 2000, when in one of those split seconds, his life changed forever. His son Ty, also a photographer, was about 30 yards away.
I didn't see him get hit because where I was in the end zone, I couldn't see all the way to the side. So I come over to the sideline, saw it shoved. I went over to the corner of the end zone, looked over, and I saw his shoes. I knew his shoes, and I was like, oh God. I just had this drop in my stomach. I was like, oh no, it's him, it's Dad. His eyes were rolled back, he was shaking, he wasn't speaking, he was having a seizure, and he came out of it. He asked his question of, are my cameras okay?
While Mickey headed to the hospital, Tony tried to cope with the emotional effects of the hit.
The whole time, on the sideline, I was sitting over there talking. I Warren Moon asked him, and I was like, man, I wish I could have did something. He's like, no, don't worry about it, man. You got to concentrate now. And I see the ambulance going over there. I'm like, oh man, what's going on over there? I started getting really concerned then. And that's why after the game, I went straight to my family out there, and I was like, find out, get on the phone, find out what's going on, make sure that guy's okay.
The initial CAT scan showed some funny look that usually is not associated with trauma. Usually you see blood or we see swelling, but his CAT scan looked a little bit unusual, and so we ended up pursuing it with an MRI scan.
And then I found out a doctor came in, a neurosurgeon came in and told me I had a brain tumor. I went home and there was a huge pot of gorgeous flowers from Tony with a nice note. It was amazing. When I went home that day on Monday, I was expecting some bruises and a headache. I wasn't sore.
Uh-huh. Are you trying to say I don't hit that hard?
I should have been hurt. I don't want to say that you don't hit hard because I've never felt as good as I feel now in my whole life. And it's hard to explain. There's just this incredible sense of peace. And my feeling kind of is if I wasn't supposed to know that I had a brain tumor, then all this wouldn't have happened. Uh-huh. I'm supposed to know that I have it, so I'm supposed to do something about it. So things happen for a reason.
If it hadn't been for a brutal collision on the football field, Mickey probably would have never learned that he had a brain tumor. On May 4th, he was admitted to San Francisco General Hospital. Dr. Martin Holland, with whom Mickey had become friendly since November, would perform the brain surgery.
We started talking about photography in one of the clinic sessions, and I told him how I have a fantasy of being a photographer.
Mickey made his fantasy come true, allowing Dr. Holland to use one of his credentials to shoot a 49er game. Mickey gave him one piece of advice.
I just told him to be real careful along the sideline and don't get hit because he's my neurosurgeon. I didn't want anything to happen to him. Going into surgery and everything, I just felt so safe. With him is the word, that I didn't have any fear, and I'm not a very brave person. But going into surgery for brain surgery, I shouldn't have felt that way, but I knew I was going to be okay. I felt as safe as I was, as a little kid with their parents.
I was very pleased with how the operation went. When we operate on this particular part of the brain, we expect people to be paralyzed temporarily. He was already moving by the next day.
After the surgery, that was our biggest concern, to make sure he was mobile enough to get up and get on the sidelines. But it's great to see him out there, and it's pretty neat to be able to kneel there alongside him. He's really changed his view on life. He's really appreciating life. He's taking care of himself mentally, physically, spiritually.
When you're faced with something like this, it's just so easy to see things in your life that maybe are drains, you know, that you're wasting time on, and I don't want to do that anymore. I want to be like, not think about tomorrow, just think about right now, today, and do the things that are really important to me.
A small portion of Mickey's tumor was unable to be removed. He'll have to monitor that for the rest of his life. But throughout his recovery, he's been thankful that because of his ordeal, he's developed special friendships with two men who both helped save his life.
The relationship Mickey and I have, it's a little bit unusual because I don't usually get involved in a friendship type of relationship with patients, but because he has been so upbeat and he's been so positive, I'm drawn to him as a man and as a person who allows me to see in a very personal way my work and its effects on someone in a very profound sort of way.
Mickey, sorry about the hit. Get well soon. Tony Gonzalez. I'm just really glad that we crossed paths, so to speak. He's a real special person in my life. I owe it to you to find out about it, because I would have never known. Every time I talk to him, I thank him for hitting me.
I believe God had his hand in this for sure. I believe everything was conspiring to happen for that at that moment in time. So Mickey would be okay.
The whole thing doesn't seem real. I mean, sometimes I think I'll wake up and all that's going to happen. It's really hard to put into words.
Mickey Phleger knows better than most that pictures often say more than words. Mickey has become the picture of happiness. He's back on the sideline, capturing split seconds in time and cherishing every one of them.